Where is Priestess? Has everyone left? Go to the thingy? I was going to talk to you about everyone's memory gaps. And whatnot. No, they're not here. Not yet, anyway.
Citizen.
Citizen? There she is. Right next to me.
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
I've been asking people about how they wound up here, trying to find a pattern.
Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me, but you've come to the right person. Did you find a pattern then? What have you noticed?
Some people mentioned a river.
Yes. I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else?
Some people mentioned memory lapses.
That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. What else?
Some people mentioned an encounter with a stranger on the riverbank.
Yes. I also had such an encounter. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here?
I did, a young woman.
And did you happen to catch her name?
Salve.
Karen.
I see. And was this Karen by any chance wearing a hood?
She was wearing a hoodie? How could you have known that?
Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Alright, I'll meet you in the baths.
But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
My god. Hello, sir. Just kind of came through, didn't you? Oh, is this the baths? I wasn't totes sure where we were going with that. So I almost went here, but then dealt with other stuff, obviously. Nope. What was that visual? I don't think it's gonna happen again.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute.
Waka waka.
Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
That we're all dead and this place is the underworld.
I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
We're doomed. What is it? I'm happy I figured it out before they spelled it out, but I'm also disappointed in myself for not getting it immediately. They really distracted me from there being a character on the river named Charon, and there's a coin and everything. They really distracted me away from that and the endless commute and other references by referencing the fucking Karen meme and being like, oh, that's why they don't like being called that. And then I just didn't think about it for like an hour, and then like an hour later I'm like, oh, well, hang on. So we're dead?
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
Maybe I'm the only one who's not dead. Haha. What can you tell me about Karen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Why didn't you all recognize Karen immediately?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood. And I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti. And Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
I keep hearing you say both names, Karen and Charon, and I cannot hear you pronouncing it any differently, so I don't know how the hell you corrected my pronunciation to realize I meant anything other than what you thought I meant. Also, I clicked that dialogue just because, you know, dialogue, but obviously I would expect the archaeologist to know who Karen is. Why are there so few people in the underworld?
Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river. But that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Were you trying to keep this from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you.
That's all the questions I had.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Can't we just escape the way we came in?
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
Okay. Well... how does other forms of escaping not break the golden rule? Is what I'm sticking on here. I noticed you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Tell me more about confronting Pluto head-on.
Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from?
Yeah.
That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Hercules couldn't manipulate time or turn organic matter into gold.
Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
What can you tell me about the obelisk?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
They really were just like, cool obelisks, mind if we take them? And they just took heavy-ass stones from another country across the... Why do these things? Where would I find the Roman plaque?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. and there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque.
Where would I find the Greek plaque?
I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
Egyptian?
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room.
Mystery.
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other three will illuminate the way.
Let's talk about something else. Tell me more about escaping with the help of Proserpina, or a guide. Proserpina, there we go.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
So she might be willing to work against him to help us.
If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It always says it's always the same voice, and she's helpful, if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit, or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
Not yet.
Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth.
Another reference to the Minotaur. All right, I'm ready to get started.
All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
I'll have a chat with Livia first.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
I know, this conversation's probably gone on for long enough that we're probably gonna get the loop or something. I don't know if time progresses during conversations or not. Oop. But he made the claim that he can turn things to gold, and then when that was being said, I kind of had the realization of like, oh, right. I might be able to keep that from here on out. That's interesting. Wade against the current, like up the river or something? Where's the current? Like that made me realize that like, oh, I can probably keep the... I'll probably keep the bow during the resets because I seem to keep items. He's somehow more in the rubble than before.
That's quite an impressive bow you have there. Just like Diana's.
Okay. A shopping list. List thing Theseus plans to buy once he's escaped. A villa on the Aventine, Rome. 2-horse chariot, seat on the Senate. 4-horse chariot, villa of the Bay of Naples. 10-horse chariot, 12 slave girls, pale and plump. Well, he's great, isn't he? Is the world ending right now?
Salve.
You're still here. Where is he? Is he off voting? I think he's off voting. Not totally sure though. This is still locked. Yeah, I don't see him around. I still need to figure out how to get the thing that he has from him. Sculpture of Minerva, Roman goddess of strategy. Larian? A small household shrine where ancient Romans offered daily prayers for protection. Well, at first I thought that the bow storyline was the shortcut to get into
That's quite an impressive bow.
You said that before?
Just like Diana's.
I thought that the shortcut to getting past the problem was to deal with the bow storyline, and then he would give you what you need to save the other lady. But now that seems to be less the case, because it does seem like the bow would be an item that you keep forever.
Thank you. I am
Oh.
delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate, is it? Yes, thank you. I'm delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now...
Oopsie.
And now...
I didn't mean to fall here.
Did you just scale the wall to my villa somehow? I must remember to have words with that buffoon Domitius. Well, why have you risked life and limb to see me?
Malleolus is Quinctius. He's got the heterochromia.
My name is Marcus Malleolus Gurgis. You seem to have confused me with someone else.
And you seem to have invented contacts. You have one green eye and one blue eye, just like the description on this execution order from Emperor Nero.
You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different colored eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural-born ruler. Nothing more.
Apparently, Quinctius also suffers from delusions of grandeur.
Well, I am not suffering from any delusions, as today's election will firmly establish.
I can't prove it's you yet, but I will.
Unlikely, because it simply isn't true. Now, was there something else you wanted?
Yeah, you really played it off well with that massive pause. What's your story?
I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today.
What will you do if you win?
I'm glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promising. These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny.
How will you do that?
By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule. It's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie?
What makes you sure it's not real?
The person making a claim bears the onus of proving that claim. Can you do that? Can you prove the Golden Rule is real?
The Golden Rule is definitely real.
Nonsense! There's no way you can prove that. If it was real and you'd seen someone break it, then you'd be dead already.
I found a book called The Myth of the Golden Rule. Whoever wrote it obviously died because they refused to accept the Golden Rule.
You mean that book next to a golden statue in the theater? Tell me, how do you know that statue wasn't put there by Sentius himself? You can't know, can you?
What would it take to prove it's real? Books? Notes?
Surely you're not one of those people who believes everything you read. As if a lie could be transformed into the truth by the simple act of writing it down?
That's what I thought. You're gonna be the denier guy of this game. Like a climate denier or some other exhausting person that just like literally just is going to be absolutely certain that everyone's been lying to you all along and there will be no standard of proof that would work probably. I'm reliving the same day over and over again. The golden rule is broken each time. This is not gonna work.
What? Oh, I see what's happening here. Another poor, vulnerable soul taken in by Sentius's machinations. He won't get away with this much longer.
Even if I can't prove it, if I'm right, then accepting it will avert disaster. If I'm wrong, then accepting it will make the city a better place. Isn't that a good thing?
I disagree. I'll be guided by what is best for the city's people, and that means giving them the freedom to do as they wish.
I can see nothing I say is going to convince you.
True, but that is simply because you are mistaken.
Do you know a way out of here?
I'm afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it.
What do you think about the Golden Rule?
You mean the children's fable exploited by Sentius to scare us all into doing what he wants?
Any idea where I'd find a Roman plaque?
Look, if I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy to sell it to you, but I don't, so I can't.
Fair enough. I want you to withdraw from the election.
Are you insane? You barge into my villa, uninvited, and then make outrageous demands? Why would I withdraw from an election I'm bound to win?
Because as soon as you win, you're going to break the Golden Rule. It's not
Don't
going to
talk
work.
nonsense. There's no such thing as the Golden Rule.
You're going to arrest Sentius for treason and sentence him to death by gladiatorial combat.
How could you possibly know that?
Because I know the future.
Nonsense! This is nonsense! I don't know how you know about my plans, but I'm absolutely sure Sentius is involved somehow. And now, I'm going to enjoy watching Domitius kill him even more. Now, get out of here! You outstayed your very limited welcome.
We best all but make the best of it by, you know, murder. I'm gonna murder one of the only people that's still around here. Make the best of it, as he says. This is an obnoxiously freaking goofy-looking lion. A Greek statue of a lion. This is an obnoxiously opulent place. Why the fuck are there slums? You guys suck so much. I hate all of you. Let us in, let us in. What's going on down here? That's a body. That's a bit alarming, isn't it?
All right, now you've crossed a line. Get out of there.
I don't know how to leave. Note from Ulpius. Ulpius, to his lost love, may God watch over you. Please know that I held on as long as I could, but without you, my life is meaningless. I only hope we meet again in Gan Eden. Are you the one that was at the bottom of that place? The one that was dead at the bottom of the well or whatever. Julia. Julia to her captors Malleolus and Claudia curse you to the depths. By the time you read this, I'll be already dead. Because death is preferable to another day in debt bondage to you, may vultures peck out your livers in Tartarus for all eternity. Getting along, are you?
Thank you.
How do I leave?
I am delighted and
I guess I hop this fence over here.
to have been elected your magistrate.
Yeah, I guess this will work. And now whose house is this? It's the one right outside by the door. Yep. Oh yeah, I've been in here before. Alright. Well, I found Malleolus. He was about as what you'd expect.